Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and in this episode of the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast, we're chatting with the Reserve Grand Champion and the Grand Champion winners of the Kundari Barbecue Festival. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. Now today's a super special episode. We are talking with the Reserve Grand Champion and the Grand Champion winners of the Kundari Barbecue Festival. Now that is Dave Kenyon from Black Glove Barbecue as Reserve Grand Champion and Matt Redman from Primal Iron Barbecue, the Grand Champion winning team. Now, before we do jump into that, I've got a couple of quick announcements that I want to run by you. The first is that you need to keep the weekend of June 26 and 27 free. Smoking Hot Confessions, we're going to put on the world's first virtual barbecue conference. It's going to be a 2-day event. It's going to be in your lounge room. And we're going to be bringing the best barbecue pitmasters and business owners from around the country to hang out with you. The first day, the Saturday, is going to be all about cooking barbecue. So we're going to be jumping into the backyards of various pitmasters, competitors and whatnot. And then the second day is going to be all about barbecue business. So if you own a barbecue business or if you're thinking about getting into one, you're going to want to check that one out as well. Now, the next is that if you are just at the beginning of your barbecue journey, we do have our free ebook available for you, The Beginner's Guide to Real Barbecue. It's available on the SmokingHotConfessions.com website. Just head on over there. A pop-up window is going to appear. Put your details into that and we'll shoot it straight out into your email for you. Next, do come over and join us at the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community in Facebook. It is dead set the friendliest barbecue community around. All the guff is left at the door. We don't care where you come from. We don't care what you cook on, just as long as you're into barbecue. And we just hang out all day and that's all we talk about. So it's a great place to be if you're looking for a nice, friendly, family-friendly place to hang out. Now, if you are watching this video on YouTube, do give us a thumbs up, a subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If you're on Facebook, give us a like and a share and give us a comment, and also make sure you're following us. If you're on IGTV, it's the cute little love heart and the follow. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please do give us a 5-star rating and review because that really helps us out as well. Okay, now this episode, as I said, we do have Dave Kenyon from Black Glove Barbecue coming up first, and then Matt Redman from Primal Iron Barbecue coming up second. Now, it's going to be really interesting to hear what these two fellas have to say. Dave, I'm not real familiar with. I don't think I've met him before, so it's going to be really interesting to get to know him through this process and hear what he has to say. He came all the way from Sydney up to the Sunshine Coast for that barbecue festival, so we know he's a pretty serious guy about his barbecue. And then, of course, there's Matt Redman from Primal Iron Barbecue. They've been great friends to the show here for many years. I think it's Matt's first appearance on the show. We have had team captain Adam on a couple of times, so it's going to be Matt's first time in the hot seat, so that's going to be pretty good fun as well. But I think that's probably about all you need to hear out of me. Let's get these fellas in here.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Dave, welcome to the confessional, my friend. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good, Ben. How about yourself?
Mate, good. It's been a long, hot day. I've been building a new barbecue area out the back here and been, on the angle grinder and the power drill and the drop saw and all that sort of stuff, and then jumping inside and doing podcasts and going back outside again. So it's a very crazy Australia day for me.
Yeah, it's a bit different to mine. We woke up, went down to the beach this morning and set up the gas Weber GA and cooked breakfast and went for a swim and then come back and had a sleep and woke up and here I am.
Mate, that sounds like the way Australia Day is meant to be celebrated. That sounds perfect. So, mate, first of all, congratulations on getting your RGC at Kundari on the weekend. Mate, how did it feel?
Oh, mate, it felt unreal. Like, we spent 2 weeks on the trip having a bit of a holiday on the way up here to get across the border because we're from Sydney. So we left Sydney on the 8th of January and then spent a couple of days or 5 days in Newcastle, 2 days in Coffs, and we spent 4 at Lismore and then 3 at Tweed. Also, we could just get across the border and come up here. So for the competition.
Yeah, right. Okay. 5 days in Newcastle. I did my university in Newcastle. Where'd you go there?
We stayed at Jesmond and just spent a few days just wandering around Newcastle and eating and drinking and at the beach and just trying to chill out and unwind after work.
Yeah, right.
finishing
I
work.
did live in Jesmond for a little while. Did you end up at the Star Hotel at all?
No, we didn't. So.
Ah, I used to work there as a bouncer back in the bad old days.
Mm.
So, mate, tell us about Kondari Barbecue Festival itself. It took you a couple of days to get up here. Tell us about the actual festival.
Oh, look, the festival was unreal. Like, we come up here for it last year and we got walked away with first place pork ribs last year. But this year it was set on the hotel side of the pub. So a lot of the teams were set up outside their hotel rooms. But because my partner, her family lives in Hervey Bay, so we opted against booking a hotel room and we just set up site and I stayed at their place, which is where I'm staying at the moment. We're here for another week and yeah, it was a different competition to last year and the festival side of things didn't really go ahead because of COVID and it was basically just a competition. So it was a different competition and so, yeah, glad that we come away with a win in the end. Well, RGC, that is anyway.
Yeah, so good, man, so good. So give us a breakdown of the of how you went in the different categories.
Well, chicken, we come 5th place for chicken. I thought the chicken was probably some of the best chicken that I've ever put in a box.
Nice.
5th place, better results that we've had for chicken. Lamb, we come 3rd for lamb. And pork was 14th and beef was 11th. So,
right, so you're nice and consistent then to be able to sort of know you didn't drop any one category, which is how you got up to RGC there. Very nice, very nice. So when it comes to the chicken there, what cuts do you like to do for the chicken?
I just do chicken thighs. So I just do thigh pillows and that's basically all I put in a box of chicken.
That's a very humble way of saying it. Just chicken thigh pillows, because I know that a lot of work goes into getting those chicken thigh pillows.
Probably a good couple of hours of trimming there to get those thighs done and ready for comp. So, I done all my trimming at home and froze it all and chucked it in a Waco and that stuck that in the back of the car for the 2 weeks on the way up here and pulled it out at each motel room and just made sure that my meat was kept good by the time I got up here.
Wow. So it was like a 2-week transit with the meat.
Yeah.
So good, dude. So good. So good. So when it comes to doing those chicken pillows, who gets to do the skin scraping?
Unfortunately, that's me. It's all me. So, look, I'm not a fan of it, but I don't think anybody really is a fan of scraping chicken skins, but it's just a job that's got to be done, I think.
It is, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So when it comes to the team then, are you like a one-man team or do you have like a group of people and do you divvy the proteins up to individual people or how do you organise it?
No, it's pretty much just me and the missus. So I do all the cooking, I do all the meat prep, all the cooking. And the missus, she just helps out on the day and helps clean up and running boxes for me and doing parsley and those sort of things. But I'm the one that does all the cooking and prep and
wow,
all
that's
that sort
intense.
of fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty full on.
So that's the chicken then. What were some of the other categories, did you say? Was it pork ribs or open pork?
It was open pork.
Ooh,
so we just done
okay.
pork ribs. So off the back of our coming away with the win for pork ribs last year, I thought, why not? We'll just stick with it and just do pork ribs again. But it just didn't quite pay off this year.
Oh, that's a shame. Not quite there.
Yeah.
So how do you like to go about building a pork rib box? Do you do Cadillac cuts? Do you do single cuts? Is it 1 stack, 2 stacks? Just give us an idea of how you like to put together your pork rib box.
I try and do 2 stacks of 6. So I use 2 racks. Generally, I try and get 2 racks in the box. So a rack of 6 ribs at the back and then 6 ribs at the front on top of the 6 on the back.
That's a big box.
Just try. Yeah. That's what I try and aim for. I got 12 in the box on Sunday, but sometimes it doesn't quite pay out and I only get 6 in the box, but I try and get 12 in there all the time.
Is that just to try and make a big impression with the judges, to try and sort of oversupply the judges?
Yeah, just to try and fill the box up a little bit more and make the box look a little bit more presentable. So that's what I
Yeah,
try
you
and
want
aim
that.
for, and sometimes.
Yeah, cool. All right. So then, what was next? Was it open beef?
Nah, after pork it was lamb. So for lamb, look, I tried cooked was it a lamb shoulder, and then I done a couple of racks of lamb cutlets that I put in the box. So I put pulled lamb on the right hand side of the box, and on the left of the rack, 6 portions of cutlets and had laid the bones over the top of the pulled lamb. Sorry.
Nice. Yeah, I do love pulled lamb. It's delicious stuff. Do you have some particular lamb rubs that you prefer to use, or do you make your own?
Oh, look, I generally tend to run with tree bark. Like I've tried a few different rubs on the market. I just keep going back to tree bark, and I'll mix it with a couple other little things, and just to mix it up a little bit, and I'll grind down the tree bark a little bit because I think it's a little bit coarse, and that's what I tend to run with. So I've tried a couple other things in the past, but I don't know, tree bark just tends to get the results for me.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that you grind it down a bit. Do you prefer that sort of that powdery texture?
Yeah. I just find it straight out of the box. It was just a little bit coarse and a little bit grainy. So just stick it through like a coffee grinder just to grind it up a little bit more.
Yeah, right. Okay. And so does that make it stick more evenly to the meat then? Is that the rationale behind that?
Yeah, that's what I find, and it's more even across the meat, and probably a bit better mouthfeel too when you're eating it, I find. Yeah, look, I've tried it. I've asked the missus, and she tends to prefer it ground up a little bit more too. So if that's what she prefers, and that's what everyone seems to like more, so that's what I run with.
Yeah. Yeah, hard to argue with that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what was next after lamb then?
After lamb, it was open pork, so I just done just purely pork ribs, and I ended up wrapping my pork ribs a little bit too early, and when I pulled them out of the wrap, all my rub had sort of washed off in the butter bath.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I wasn't too happy with them, and I ran out of rub, so I didn't have any rub to put back on top of them, so I just sauced them a couple of times just to try and get a bit of colour into them. But yeah, not the best pork ribs that I've handed in, that's for sure.
No, and how did that go in terms of getting the colour back? Just putting a couple of layers of sauce on.
Look, it did help, but look, I didn't quite get that red colour out of it. Like it was more leaning on the brown side of colour-wise. So, but I still, it did improve it a lot.
That's good. That's good.
Just putting a thick layer of sauce on top of them really improved the pork ribs.
Yeah, so good. And so then what's next after that? Beef?
Yeah, it was open beef. We've done a brisket this time, a WX9 brisket that we got from, along with the rest of our meat from East Blackstone Butchery. And trimmed all that up at home, and ended up putting 8 slices of flat in the box along with 6 burnt ends. So it turned out all right.
And is the WX9, is that your standard go-to brisket for competitions?
Yeah, 100%. That's all I ever use at competitions. So I just find Ranges Valley beef is just really consistent. Never had an issue with it. For home, if I'm ever cooking a brisket at home, it's usually just not just, but a Black Onyx brisket. I just find they're so consistent for what they are, and they offer excellent value for money.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was a difference between the brisket that you cook for competitions and the brisket that you cook at home, because I find that when I'm cooking at home, I prefer an Angus brisket, something like that, as opposed to say a Wagyu brisket. For me personally, I find the Wagyu just to be really heavy, and I find even just like a just like a ribeye steak. If I just buy just a ribeye steak, ribeye Wagyu, I can only get about a half, 2/3 of the way through it, and I'm done.
Yeah, I'm the same. I just find Wagyu is a little bit rich and sometimes over the top. So, look, if I'm ever going to eat Wagyu, it'd only be a small amount. But see, at home, it's usually just me and the missus. So, look, I don't tend to do a lot of brisket cooks just because it is only the two of us. And cooking a whole brisket for two people is just... look, it's not wasteful because we ended up freezing it and use it in other ways. But for two people, it's probably just a bit much for us. And the missus, she's not too fond of it. So...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Should you rather eat a steak any night of the week over brisket?
Has she explained why? Is it a texture thing or?
I think probably just in the early days when I first started doing comps, like I was just cooking it all the time, and it's just, I think I fed her too much brisket at the start with it. Now she's just a bit turned off by it.
Yeah, fair enough. Bit of overkill on the brisket there.
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Interesting. And tell me, how does the WX9 go with the burnt ends?
Look, it takes, you got to render them a lot further. Try and get all the fat rendered down in them. Look, I probably try and render the fat for probably a good hour and a half, 2 hours in a sauce bath after the brisket's cooked, after the point's cooked. Like I'll let the point come out for a rest and then I'll put it back in a sauce bath for about an hour and a half, 2 hours just to try and finish rendering all that fat out.
Yeah, right. Okay. So do you cook the brisket whole then and then separate it later, or do you separate the point from the flat before you even start?
No, I separate it before I start.
Ah, interesting. Very cool. So I guess then part of my questions for you then, we discussed that it had taken you 2 weeks to come up from Sydney. Why all the way to Kundari from Sydney? That's a hell of a long way.
It is. I've got look, it wasn't just for a barbecue competition, I'll be honest. Like my missus, her family lived in Harvey Bay too, so that's why we come up last year, and they come down to our place for Christmas. I think they got down. I think it was a Thursday before Christmas, and then a sister come down. Her sister was also in Harvey Bay too. They got down on the Sunday, and I think that's when Anna announced the borders were closing from the 1 a.m. on the Tuesday. So they had basically on the Monday morning, the next morning at 4 a.m., they all jumped in the car and left our place, and they returned back to Harvey Bay, and they had to self-isolate for 2 weeks when they got home.
Oh, wow.
So basically, it put a dampener to our Christmas, and I just sort of said to Cara that, look, we'll get up there in January, we'll do the right thing, we'll spend the 14 weeks outside Sydney, and then
14 days.
while we're up there, we'll do
the competition 14 weeks. On the way up.
Oh, yeah, 14 days, sorry. And I've done all my meat prep at home and done as much prep that I could for the competition, and chucked everything in the trailer and the freezer in the car, and spent the 14 days travelling up here for the competition, and now we're up here for another 2 weeks, and then we'll head home. Yeah,
so good, mate, so good. And will you take another 2 weeks to do the journey home, or will you just sort of bust straight down there?
You just go straight down. I think we'll probably spend a night in Coffs on the way back, just because we got the little one, and the 14-hour trip with the little one's probably a bit much for her.
That's a bit rough, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll split it up. We'll probably do 7 hours Coffs or something.
Yeah. We just had a comment come through here saying, how do we ask questions? So all of the comments that are coming through on Facebook on the live feed there, I can see them all there. So just a quick reminder for you, at the top of the of this post where this live video is coming through, there's a description. In the description is a link. You need to click that link to let my software see your name and your profile picture. and then I'll be able to know who we're talking to in the comments there. So if you do have a comment that you want to, or a question that you'd like to ask Dave, just pop it in the standard comments there in the Facebook Live video, and it pops up on my screen over here. I can see it over here. Alrighty, Dave, so give us a bit of an idea about your comp experiences to date. You said that you did, so Kondari this year, obviously. You did Kondari last year. Tell us about your competition experience.
Well, look, Kondari just gone by. That was our 6th comp. So the first comp that how I got into comp barbecue was I first started with Rob Thraves at Meat and Mudgee. I think it was 2019. And I went along to Meat and Mudgee and cooked with Rob Thraves and Dion from Smoking Hot and Saucy for the weekend. And I was hooked from the first minute of it, first comp that I'd done. And from there, I went to Meat Stock Sydney, again with Rob and Dion from Smoking Hot and Saucy, and cooked with them guys again. And then I decided, look, I thought I'd start my own team up, and I got a couple of mates together, and we signed up for Hope Estate. And in the end, the mates bailed on me, and it was just me and the missus that went up. Yeah. So I just thought, yeah, why not? If we can do one comp, we can do more on our own, and just sort of see what happens from there. And that first comp was Hope Estate, and we ended up coming away with 3rd place pork ribs and 7th overall. And from there, we went to the Dam Hotel. I can't remember results for that comp, but they weren't great. I think we come 18th or 19th overall. And then we went from there down to Kangaroo Valley. I think you were at Kangaroo Valley for that comp, but I didn't end up getting a chance to meet her. I think we come 12th overall at Kangaroo Valley. And I think I got 4th place chicken. 4th place chicken. So didn't quite get a call up there, but was happy with 4th place chicken. And from there, that was at the end of 2019. The start of last year, we come up to Kondari, so that was our 4th comp. And then the week after Kondari, we done the Dam again, where I ended up a pretty good comp at the Dam. I got 2nd place chicken, 4th place lamb, 5th place brisket, and 5th overall. Pretty tough field at that competition. And for our 6th comp was just on the weekend back up here at Kondari again.
Wow, so you're only 6 comps in and you're picking up RGCs already.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Look, I've still got a fair bit to work on. I think texture just killed me on the weekend. Looking at the scores too, my texture just wasn't quite there. So, but it's something to work on anyway. For the
just a bit more practice, mate, that's all.
That's it. So it's been a long time between comps, so it was a little bit rusty on the weekend, I think.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. It's all good. Well, look, mate, thanks very much for letting us know how you went at Kondari, and congratulations on getting that done. Mate, you've had a ripper of a ride to get here so far, and best of luck with it in the future.
Cheers, Ben. It's good having a chat to you.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
Alrighty, Matt, thank you for joining me in the confessional today. We're here to talk about Kondari, mate. How are you?
Mate, very good. A little bit weary, but over the moon and just in almost disbelief.
I'd imagine so. I mean, that was probably was that Saturday or Tuesday they made the announcement?
Saturday.
Sorry, Saturday or Sunday I meant to say. Today's Tuesday.
No, Saturday after.
Okay, and so today's Tuesday, and I can see that you're still up there and you're exhausted. So it's been one hell of a party, eh?
Yeah, well, actually, we're actually home now. We drove home today. Left at about 8 o'clock this morning and got home at about lunchtime. So a bit of traffic through the sunny coast there, but it was good to be home.
Yeah, must be. Yeah, I apologise. I thought I recognised the roof behind you as the little outdoor eating area there at the Kondari Hotel.
Yeah, I would like to be still. I'd love to still be up there, but no, it's gotta get back to reality now.
Yeah, yeah. So it was the first barbecue festival for the year. Set the scene for us. What was it like?
It was absolutely fantastic to catch up with a lot of the teams that we tend to spend a lot of time with. Fantastic meeting a lot of new teams. It was it's so we were so looking forward to it. All of our families come up. We make a bit of a mini holiday out of it. You know, it's our favorite competition that we do each year. We look forward to it. Um, it was a crazy weekend for us.
Yeah, yeah. So you were just saying that it's your favourite weekend, it's your favourite competition, and it was a little bit crazy there. We just had a bit of an internet hiccup. Okay, so yeah. Now I understand that this year was a little bit different to previous years. Can you tell us how it was a bit different?
So there was no festival this year, and under normal circumstances, we compete over on the paddock adjacent to the Kondari Hotel. But this year we competed out of our rooms. So it was like no comp we've ever done before. The whole scenario of running from your room to the cooker and back was it was it was different. But I think we all appreciated the creature comforts and the air conditioning, and of course the pool.
Yeah, I was there at Kondari in 2019, and I was competing with my buddy Anthony's Black Bark barbecue team. And I remember it was 45 degrees in the front marquee and 55 degrees in the back marquee for the food prep. So it must have just been heavenly being inside that hotel room with the aircon on.
It genuinely was. We were very, very lucky that the weather was very kind to us. I think on the Sunday was like 29 degrees. So it was slightly overcast, nice sea breezes coming through. So it still wasn't that bad compared to what most Australia Day comps are. But still, the air conditioning just was like a gift from Ali.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. Now, mentioning just sort of competing out of hotel rooms there, that's quite a brave move on Ali's part there, because I've seen what comp prep sites end up looking like. I've seen what I hate to say it, but the public bathrooms at the barbecue competitions end up looking like. So I think letting all you blokes cook out of your hotel rooms was incredibly brave. How did your room end up?
Well, we were very well behaved. We had our families with us, so we tend to be kept on a short leash when the wives are around. So thank goodness there, we were relatively clean. We didn't really get into too many other rooms, so I can't imagine what the state of those rooms were. But look, everybody's very well behaved, and there's a lot of respect for Ali and the competition that she runs, and I can only imagine that regardless of how messy it got, my thoughts would be that everybody was behaved enough to clean up after themselves.
I'd certainly imagine so. I know myself that there's a habit of scraping that chicken skin and then flicking the knife, and I've just got this horrible image of just chicken fat smeared all over the wall.
Well, I'm not saying that there wasn't chicken fat on the window of the kitchen, but there may have been.
May have been, yeah. All right, very cool. So, man, give us a rundown of the competition. How did it go for you? Which hand-ins came together fluidly? Which ones were a bit harsh for you? Give us the rundown.
So, look, to be honest with you, we're very, very lucky that we have 4 team members in our team who basically will typically take on a single protein each. So we have a fair bit of practice in pulling these things together. So everything came together relatively easily and with a good flow. In my opinion, when we were doing our cook for the chicken hand-in, that was the only one that I thought that we were in massive trouble with. I tried 4 pieces of the chicken that I cooked, and every one of them to me was slightly overcooked and a little bit on the dry side. So I was
Okay.
not confident at all.
Right. Okay.
Um,
And so did you,
yeah.
what did you do to try and rescue that chicken?
Well, to be honest with you, nothing. By that stage, the box was handed in. It was,
Oh, sorry. You
it was
tried the
after
chicken
the
after
fact.
the box was gone. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the other boys in the team were fairly adamant that they had good pieces. So look, hopefully I got to try all of the rotten bits, but it was a bit of a scare for me. Um, but I mean, look, the rest of the protein boxes came together just beautifully. The lamb box was what we thought was genuinely our strongest box. It was the same box basically that we handed in up at Aussie World. It looked tidy. It was so nice. Flavor profile was bang on. We were really happy with it. Um, Pork ribs just were beautiful. Nice pullback on the bones. Great color. The taste was fantastic. And, we were in a really enviable position with our beef that we cooked some beef ribs and we cooked some brisket, and we were we had a tough time deciding what to put in the box. It just all came together really beautifully, and just got the right table, I suppose.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So just zooming back to the lamb there, you said that was your strongest box.
Sure.
How did it place?
It came tied 14th, which was obviously, you hate to, be anything other than grateful for any rating that you get. But we genuinely thought that it was a top 10 box. The presentation scores were lower than we're used to receiving. But look, I guess that's just the way it rolls. The flavors and the textures were there. We got some decent scores in there, a couple of outliers. But look, I guess any given day, any given box, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what did end up going into that beef box? You mentioned ribs and brisket.
Yeah, so we cooked a Rangers Valley WX9 brisket, and Adam, who is our beef cook, just smashed it out of the park. And we opted for the brisket slices. The beef rib we just felt was just a little bit too fatty, and the brisket was a it was a really really good beef of brisket. It had a really nice beefy flavor without being too beefy, and the burn ends just came together just like they were like little beefy marshmallows.
Oh, nice. So they went in the box as well then, the burnt ends?
Yeah, yeah. So we had
Sorry, just say that again. We lost that to the internet.
sorry, yeah, we handed in slices and burn ends.
Nice, very nice. So good. And so this is your third year at Kundari now, and it's your second
Correct.
year as grand champion. So congratulations on that, back-to-back grand champions. How did that feel?
Actually, Bluebird won Kundari last year.
Did you win the first one?
No, we won Aussie World the comp before, but Bluebird won. Yeah.
That's why I'm getting confused. That's why I'm getting confused, because you won the one before and then this one now. That's why I'm thinking 2 in a row. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Okay.
So 2 in a row, grand champion at Aussie World, grand champion here. Mate, how does it feel when they call out your name as grand champions?
It's absolutely insane. The quality of the field in both comps it's absolutely daunting. I mean, there are some enormous hitters, that come into these competitions, and I think if you ask any of the other teams who you thought would win either of those comps, I don't think anybody would have chosen us. I mean, I know we certainly didn't. It's an extremely humbling position to be in. We're extremely grateful, which is why it's very, very difficult to even think about complaining about any hand in scores that we receive. So, yeah.
Oh, so good, man. So good. And so what do you put this success down to?
Consistency, to be honest. We, you know, we drive each other. We try to make sure that what we do is a bit of a collective. We bounce ideas and criticism and critiques off each other, and there's no egos. Everybody listens to everybody, and we just consistency is what we aim for. You know, we don't try to win every category. We just try to do our best and be happy with what we hand in.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, that you don't try to particularly sort of win any one category. So, because I think a lot of teams, they decide that's it, I want the chicken trophy, and they'll just focus all their attention and all their energy on the chicken, and then they drop something else because all that energy and all that focus is going in there. So do you think half the trick is being able to divide your energy equally and lift all 4 or 5 or 6 categories as high as you can with that same amount of energy and dedication and love and care?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. The minute you focus on a single category is the minute you take your eye off another category. I have to take my hat off to people like Dave and Scotty and all these guys that barbecue alone, or pretty much alone. I just don't know how they do it. I struggle with one protein, focusing on that. So these guys that come out and do 4 proteins on their own, it's a testament and a credit to themselves, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So at Primal Iron, do you divvy up the protein? So like you're the chicken guy and Adam's the brisket guy and someone else is ribs and someone else is, or do you all cross train and all do everybody's different hand-ins?
No, so we each have a protein. I'm chicken, as you said. Adam's brisket or beef. Carl,
we know how that chicken fat got on the window then.
Sorry?
I said we know how that chicken fat got on the window then.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, I interrupted.
It's all good. So Adam is beef. Carl is our lamb guy, and he also takes care of shoulder, pork boxes. And Christian does our pork ribs and jumps in Carl with the pork shoulder from time to time. We don't cross train on each other's proteins as such. I mean, I think we've all been involved in the process enough to be comfortable stepping in if we needed to help out. But I think having the specialists in the proteins is the path we head down, and it could be folly of ours that if we ever had to go without somebody, then we might not do quite as good a job. But I think we're all fairly comfortable with how things roll at the moment, and what the processes are that we have in place. And so I kind of feel like we'd be able to jump in. I don't know whether or not anybody would be happy about having to do chicken. I think it's a running gag in our team that nobody likes chicken. So
yeah, I don't think anybody likes chicken at all. Now that's interesting, the way that you describe the way that you sort of divide up not just the categories, but I did hear you say that one of your fellas does pork ribs, the other one does pork shoulder. So you're not even dividing the categories, you're breaking it down even further than that. So with COVID happening and all the different shutdowns and the comps cancelled and all that sort of stuff, you guys managed to come straight out at Sunny Coast after such a long break, pick up a GC, and then have a pretty long break after that, pick up another GC. Do you think that your team strategy of dividing it down like that, do you think that sort of helped you during lockdown? Like, were you able to practice and just focus on your particular protein?
So I think having our processes down pat is what our biggest strength was. We only had one practice the week before Kondari. I think we had one practice the week before or 2 weeks before Aussie World.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's just, look, to be honest with you, I think the whole process of the amount of practice that we've done in the past, and the number of times that we've failed, and we have failed spectacularly. I think that's what teaches us more than the successes. And, we have a policy that you don't change it if it's not broken, and if we think something's broken or needs adjusting, we'll talk about it and get onto it. But my opinion is you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a saying in jiu-jitsu. We say we win or we learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, with those competition practices that you mentioned there, do you guys all get together and do all the competition practice like as if it were a competition, or do you sort of just have one practice? You say, okay, look, we'll just do a practice chicken this week. Next week we'll do a practice ribs. Next week we'll do a practice, I don't know, brisket. Or do you all get together and all do it as if it were a competition?
Yeah, so we do practice it as a competition.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we have hand in windows, and we don't do boxing up as such, or we don't go to that level. It's just more making sure that we're familiar with our timings. Sometimes we miss them, sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, there's usually a lot of food left over, and we have a big family feast at one of our houses, and have a lot of leftovers.
Now that's interesting that you guys all get together and then treat it as if it were a competition. So you will sit down and work out what time you want dinner, and then work out your competition time frames backwards from that.
Pretty much. Well, we usually like to have the brisket ready for the dinner, because it's usually the star of the show, right? So we'll aim for like a 5 o'clock window for the beef, and we'll work backwards from there with on the hourly hand-ins. And I mean, saying it like this sounds a little bit regimented and a little bit odd, but it tends not to go quite that way. It's a lot more of a relaxed environment. I wish all comps were like that, but yeah, it's we don't crucify ourselves if we don't hit a window, or snags happen, and pits go out, and whatever the case may be. But we try to be a little bit structured around things, and I think that's where the consistency side of things really shines through for us.
Yeah, drill is the way to get there, I think. Alrighty, so with the way that the last sort of 12 months have sort of panned out, I mean, you guys were getting quite into your catering and all that sort of stuff there. Give us an idea of what happened to the catering side of things, and when we're going to be able to get out there and get some more Primal Iron.
Yeah, so while catering was on, while COVID, the full lockdown was going on, we sort of decided that we'd try and do a few gigs just to get some of the guys that had their hours cut. So we handed over catering for a couple of months, and we all just jumped in and helped out. I think at one stage they were doing pop-ups every 2 to 3 weeks around our Moreton Bay region. Just fantastic support from everybody around. It made a big difference to these guys. We tend to sort of back it off a little bit during comp season, where we're looking at doing another event very soon at Brendale Brewing. I'm not sure quite when that is. I think it's in about 3 months' time. But yeah, we it's a fantastic little escape for us. We all have day jobs that are not cooking jobs, and so to be able to get out and see the guys that come down for the feeds. We get barbecue teams coming in from around the place, and being able to catch up in those times again, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's a good little hobby, and it's good when you can get away from your day job to do the things that you like. And we're very lucky that we've been gifted this opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt about that at all. It's funny that you mentioned how nice it is to be able to catch up and to meet up with the barbecue family. You mentioned Bluebird before. I finally made it out to Warwick to their smokehouse out in Warwick there, and I walked in the door and Katie saw me and she said, "Oh, Ben, Primal was here just the other day, and I just missed you guys by like this much." But yeah, how good is that smokehouse out there in Warwick? Man, that's something else.
We absolutely love Jim and Katie. They're one of our closest friends in the barbecue circuit. We get out there whenever we can. Unfortunately, it's nowhere near as frequently as we like. But everything that they pump out up there is amazing. They do this half fried chicken. They smoke it, and I don't know what it is. It's just amazing. It's just so much flavor and so tender and juicy. One of these days, I'll peg Jim down and get that recipe off him. I just have dreams about that chicken.
Oh yeah, it was so good. We went forward drive camping out at Gordon Country out there, and of course, packed everything except the cool clothes, the cool weather clothes, not thinking it'd be cool out there. And so we got out there on the first night. It was so cold. Went into the kiosk there and said, "Look, where's the nearest town? We need to go buy some hoodies and jeans and things." And she said, "Warwick." I went, "Yes." And so we went in and we hit up Big W in there and then hit the smokehouse on the way out. It was fantastic. And we ordered the platter. Did you have the platter?
So when we went up, I don't think we got the platter as such. I think Jim and we kind of placed an order, and then Jim and Katie just sent out a tray loaded to the sky with. That just goes to show their generosity and the love that they share. And it was a platter. I don't know if it was the platter, but it was absolutely to die for. I think we left about one stick of mac and cheese on the table and some chicken bones. I think that was about it.
Yeah, it was just the three of us when we went out there, and the leftovers were dinner that night and then lunch again the next day. So it was so much food. It was so good, so good. Now, speaking of Warwick, we do have a question here from one Mr. Rusty Ian Dellett, bit of a well-known character there. He wants to know: are you going to Warwick for a three-peat? Are we going to see you pull up a third GC in Warwick?
Oh, look, I'm quite comfortable saying that it's almost impossible for us to pull up a third GC. Look, well, that's we never see it coming. Honestly, I'm speechless even thinking about it. That's not something we would ever assume or presume. We just do the best that we can do, and if we're lucky enough to get a call or a mention here or there, then we will absolutely take it. But do I think we're going to get a third GC? Absolutely not. Did I think we would get a second? No. Did I think we'd get a first? No. But here we are. We're just very lucky to be in the situation that we're in, and I can't see it happening. And if it happened, I don't even know what I'd do.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, look, mate, I'm just going to say thank you very much for your time today coming on board. I really do have my fingers crossed for you that you do pick up a third GC out in Warwick. I'm hoping to make it out there myself, so I'm hoping to be able to catch up with you in person. And, as I said, thanks for coming on board the show.
Thanks very much for having me, mate.
And there you have it, family. That was Dave Kenyon from Black Bark Barbecue and Matt Redman from Primal Iron Barbecue. How awesome are those guys? They both love their barbecue. They're happy to share knowledge, and they're great ambassadors for the sport. And for me personally, I'm stoked to see barbecue competitions back in Queensland again. From us here at the Smoking Hot Confessions team, we wish these fellas all the best of luck through the rest of the season, and we're looking forward to watching how it plays out for them. Now, before I let you go, just a quick reminder, do keep June 26 and 27 free for Barbicon. It's the world's first online barbecue conference. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. And get your free ebook, The Beginner's Guide to Real Barbecue, over on the SmokingHotConfessions.com website. Come join us at the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue community on Facebook, and that is where we actually do all these live recordings. So if you'd like to be part of the live recording, get your comments and your questions put up on the screen, make sure you come join us in that community, because that's where we do the live recordings. If you're watching on YouTube, it's the thumbs up, the subscribes, the notification bells. Facebook is the likes, the shares, and the comments. IGTV is the hearts and the follows, and Apple TV, the 5-star ratings and reviews. All of those things trip the algorithms and tell those platforms to push our show out further to more people like you, and so that helps us out and helps us spread the word of barbecue here in Australia. And that is about all the time that I have for today. So until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.